Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to make the presentation in the Gulf of Finland Science Days. And I apologize that I'm not able to be there in person due to the various obligations on my day-to-day work at the Finnish Environment Institute, where I'm leading a unit of marine and freshwater solutions and other issues that I couldn't join you this time, but hopefully next time it would be possible. Nevertheless, I suggested this presentation in order to inform the audience that and the scientific research community that is attending these Science Days of the Gulf of Finland, since for a very long time I've been able to follow also that what's going on in the Gulf of Finland joint research activities. Since then, I have been joining the UN Water Convention for Transboundary Rivers and Lakes, which is a global water convention. And together with my colleague, Mr. Harry Leave, who is a special envoy of transboundary waters and working at the Ministry of Climate of Estonia. And for the last 2 years, he has been the chair of the Bureau of the UN Water Convention, as Estonia is chairing this water convention under the UNEC and UN, and the secretariat is located in Geneva. So we thought that it would be interesting for you to hear about some activities under the UN Water Convention dealing with source to sea management, which I think links very closely to the issue and research activities needed for the management of the Gulf of Finland and, of course, in general, the Baltic Sea and Eastern Baltic Sea as well. So let's go to the next slide. So first of all, I just tell you the main message of this information presentation. I think that many of the scientists or researchers working on the Baltic Sea can agree on this, that the pollution flows must be tackled at the source in the catchment area before those enter the freshwater or the marine environment. That's the very efficient place to deal with the pollution sources. And then transboundary river basin organizations, as there are many catchment areas, rivers and lakes that are transboundary around the globe and around the Baltic Sea as well. The marine conventions and the UN conventions, they should and they can cooperate for joint actions and policy development, which is very important really to have this effective management of pollution sources that are flowing from catchment areas to the coastal marine areas. And globally, actually, such actions require building novel collaboration initiatives and breaking down the traditional freshwater and marine silos of national, regional, and global organizations. And often it also applies to research and scientific communities as well. So there could be something fruitful, low-hanging fruits that also help both of the communities in freshwater catchment management as well as the coastal marine management. So the background and motivation to promote source-to-sea management is actually that more than 60% of freshwater resources worldwide are shared by 2 or more countries. So transboundary waters are actually one of the major carriers of pollution in the marine environments. And thus, the source-to-sea approach is something that aims managing land, freshwater, coastal and marine resources holistically and bridging the existing gaps to tackle marine pollution at the source upstream, namely. I mentioned already that Estonia is chairing currently the Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Watercourses and International Lakes, which is called the Water Convention. And this convention aims to help also to build bridges between the sectors, countries, and balance different interests and involve also multiple stakeholders and institutions to provide policy advice where needed. And this also is linking to the current ongoing reporting that the UN or countries globally are carrying out, namely the Sustainable Development Goals. So the SDG 6, more closely 6.3, which deals with wastewater and water quality, is very closely linked to the purposes or linked to the means and measures how to protect the coastal marine areas, as well as the SDG 6.5 about the integrated water resources management in the catchment areas. And how that is done impacts also the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals 14.1, which is aiming to demonstrate the reduction of the marine pollution worldwide. Why transboundary cooperation would be relevant for the source-to-sea management? So, as I already told, majority of the world basins, and here you see the map of the world basins that are transboundary. For instance, 6 out of the 10 rivers, they contribute 90% of the plastic waste to oceans and are transboundary. So actually, in order to tackle the very severe marine plastic pollution, there needs to be cooperation and joint bodies across the countries that share the same water flow resources. And transboundary cooperation can help to use resources and allocate the costs for the protection and pollution prevention more efficiently and hopefully eventually also to reduce those. If we look at the Baltic Sea, and a few years ago there was a document report about the 7 biggest rivers in the Baltic Sea region compiled by HELCOM experts. And there we can see that really the Eastern Baltic, the big river, 7 biggest rivers that are contributing more than 40% of the phosphorus load and more than 30% of the nitrogen flow to the Baltic Sea are actually transboundary across the Eastern Baltic countries. There's also Göta and Kemi River, but they are really contributing major part of the nutrient flows to the Baltic Sea, which is the major problem, the eutrophication in our region. So just to tell you briefly that the Water Convention is actually starting the activities in relation to the source-to-the-sea management. And they organized a workshop, which was already last year, which was led by Estonia, Hedi, my colleague, and the Slovenian vice chair. So the aims was to increase the understanding and interlinkages about these really interlinked systems and really showcase the available best practices and practical steps to promote the effective sea management and discuss the challenges and possible future work areas within the Water Convention next work program and beyond. And also to remind that to take this topic that is actually very high in the agenda of the Global Water Convention. For instance, already a year ago in UN Environment Assembly, Ocean Conference 2022, And this year there was a UN Global Water Conference, which was actually historical because the previous one was 47 years ago on the UN level. And there also the issue of the linking the source to sea approaches was high in the agenda. There's a link if you want to know more about the outcomes of this workshop. There were several organizers for this, for instance, a UN Environment Program and the Global Water Partnership and the Stockholm International Water Institute as well, and others. This workshop came up with the outcomes which are in a way framing the future activities, hopefully, in the Water Convention as a whole. So it was stated that the holistic approach is necessary because there are institutional and legislative silos and better coordinate across sectors and national borders. For instance, the legislation number of different frameworks and legislation that are governing both the catchment areas and coastal marine areas is very wide, and actually there is different silos that might be even counteracted. There's also stronger coordination between decision makers and researchers will be needed. And even if Water Convention sort of historical, traditionally since 92 when it was established, it's also called Helsinki Convention because it was established in 1992, actually in Helsinki. It has also the protection of marine environment among its objectives, although it deals with the transboundary waters, mostly in rivers and lakes, but also, of course, estuaries and transitional waters are shared by different countries. And because this aims also to prevent and control and reduce the transboundary impact as well. It was also found that there needs to be a better cooperation between river basin organizations, that there are several, and also the Marine Convention or similar organization by setting the objectives and implementation and action plans for the reduction of the pollution. Good example, I would say, it's really our HELCOM that is already acting very much in collaboration with the river basin organization. And of course, in Europe, we have the Danube River Commission or the International Commission for the Protection of the Danube River and the Black Sea Convention that are working together despite a huge number of different countries. I think there are 19 partners in the Danube River Commission. Then the next one, time is running. Also, of course, the data information exchange, harmonization of surveys or monitoring, standardization of the monitoring could be part of the cooperation between river basin organization and regional seas convention. And HELCOM is very much working on this on the marine monitoring and marine assessment systems. Mapping the pollution pathways from source to sea is really needed to improve the understanding of the common goals and also to support the prioritization of measures and actions both on the regional and global scale. What is also crucial would be to highlight the benefits of the source to sea management to the upstream countries that might be even landlocked or are not sharing coastal areas. For instance, the benefits of an ecosystem protection on coastal areas or restoration, what benefits they would transfer upstreams. For migratory fish, of course, are quite obvious in that sense, but there can be also others. And synergies would be needed better by integrated water resources management and international integrated coastal zone management and marine spatial planning. And that is something we also work in the Baltic Sea scale. Draft outcomes, awareness and capacity building is also very crucial. So the research community, I think, plays a very important role both in the marine and freshwater communities and linking the knowledge of the different flows of large-scale transboundary river system to the large marine systems and impact on the inland, on the coastal seas, but of course at ocean as a whole. And to understand and identify the clear management objective for those. We also need to demonstrate the economic and social benefits. And capacity building is very important there. Thus, one of the possible future work program under the Water Convention would include then cooperation also between the action platform for the source to the sea to develop tools and build capacity there. And finally, I think that in HELCOM, in the Baltic Sea, around the Baltic Sea, HELCOM is working along these lines and provides a very good example also for the Water Convention with respect of the transboundary waters management and how to link those to the coastal waters. For instance, Baltic Sea action plans that has 36 actions on nutrient loading and also to tackle hazardous substances. There's a specific Baltic Sea regional nutrient recycling strategy where the actions are on the agriculture particularly, and finally 13 actions to reduce marine litter, which also includes microplastics. So what I would like to convene to the audience there, although I'm not there, is that the Transboundary Convention or commissions that we are working have also an important and a necessary role for the protect and provide these interlinkages with the coastal and marine research community in order to promote the source to the sea approach. Thank you very much for your attendance. And there is some information of the web as well. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Anna-Stiina. We are a little bit behind the schedule, but any urgent questions? Maybe one comment I can have that I totally understand that the rivers are very important. Actually, we have been studying a lot about the sea and lakes, but maybe the sea, but the rivers maybe not too much. So I'm very happy to hear that this kind of a cooperation is ongoing. But I can imagine this international cooperation, how to fund it, that can be one challenge. Typically, whenever we want to cooperate internationally, the funding is always a problem. But can you comment about the funding possibilities? Any comments?
You mean the research funding?
Yeah, research funding, yes, exactly.
Yeah, for instance, there is an Horizon Europe partnership, Water for All, that is ongoing at the moment and started to work in the beginning of, and that this is a partnership program that is also opening calls for interlinkages between the coastal or inland and freshwater and coastal communities. Currently, there's a call on ecosystem services, but it also includes a pillar that deals with the international activities. So that could be something to explore also for the community in the Baltic Sea. And I think that the Baltic Sea community has a lot to offer in the capacity and also the knowledge on the research activities that are needed to promote the source to sea approach globally. There's a need for that.
Okay, thank you. So any more questions or we go forward? So thank you, Anna-Stiina, again, and we continue here. Thank you.
Thank you.